The third video of our farewell tour for the old SAT comes from the SAT Essay Bootcamp. And at the end of the SAT Essay Bootcamp, I actually wrote a brand new essay, SAT essay from a prompt I haven't looked at before. I write this essay from scratch in real time. You can actually see me write an essay. It's a pretty long video, but it might be instructive to some of you who want to know the process, how I come up with things to write, things like that. So definitely check out this video. There's nothing to do in advance, just you can watch it straight through. Maybe if you want to try the essay out yourself first, you can. Maybe you can try coming up with examples yourself first. You can try that. But otherwise, you just want to watch it and kind of check out how I write an essay. Now, it goes a little bit long. It's about a 38-minute video. Now, of course, you only have 25 minutes to write the essay, and there's a lot of reasons for this. I am explaining things in detail as I go. I am talking as I'm writing it. So, of course, if I wrote that essay in real life, it would take me, 15 to 20 minutes, something like that. So the video is a little bit long, so don't judge it based on that. I am, of course, narrating my process, so that slows it down a bit. So, enjoy this video. Let me know what you think of it. In this final video, or at least for now, the final video of the SAT Essay Bootcamp, I want to actually go through a sample essay. So I've done this, obviously, with other sections, right? So with the Critical Reading Bootcamp, I did a lot of practice questions. For the essay, it doesn't seem, on first glance, as easy to do practice essays as it is practice problems, just because of the format and the type of question and what you have to do. So for this, I'm going to try to do it. Now, I'm not going to bother timing because I'm going to be talking and explaining my thought process as we go through this. So I might take longer than 25 minutes. I might not. I don't know. So don't use this as a representative of how you should use your time because, of course, I can't show you that because otherwise it would just be me sitting here with a silent video writing down, and that is not super helpful. So I'm going to try to walk through my process, how I'm going to go through this using the core strategy that I explained throughout the previous videos. And honestly, I don't know if this is going to work. I mean, it might not. I think it's going to, because I've never done anything like this before. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. So I'm going to skip down here. I'll read this box text, just why not? No reason not to, but again, it's not something you have to use if you don't want to. Nowadays, nothing is private. Our culture has become too confessional and self-expressive. People think that to hide one's thoughts or feelings is to pretend not to have those thoughts or feelings. They assume that honesty requires one to express every inclination and impulse. Okay, so the question, should people make more of an effort to keep some things private? So, as I said before, I obviously knew what the question was ahead of time because I had to pick this out, but I haven't thought about it that much. I haven't really given any thought at all. So the thought process I'm going through now, coming up with a thesis, my examples, that is all pretty much off the cuff. So if there are times of silence, I apologize. It's just me thinking. Hopefully there won't be as many, but let's see what happens. So again, the first thing we do here is we got to create a plan. And before we do that, as we do that, we're going to figure out what the thesis is going to be and what the examples are going to be. So I'm going to, in the space that they give you, just sketch out what my thesis is going to be and what my examples are going to be. Again, plan, outline to figure out what's going on. Now, the process of first, do I want to agree with this or disagree with this? Well, let's see. Should people make more of an effort to keep some things private? I'm going to say yes. Just for this one, I think I'm just leaning. That's going to be, remember, a lot of questions lean pretty hard one way or another, and often the box text will tell you which way the question's leaning. Again, you can go with either side, but I'm going to go with yes to this because my thing I immediately go to here is Facebook, social media, Twitter, the prevalence of all of that. Is an important part of this. So let's see. So I'm probably going to go with, so I want to sketch out. So yes, should keep things private. So now I'm sketching out what my thesis will kind of look like. Now I need my why or my because reason. So why should we keep things private? It's not going to be enough for this question to say, oh yes, keep things private. Here are two examples of people keeping things private. I mean, it's just a bit strange, right? We really do for this one especially need a why. Why is it important to keep things private? Now the why reason you want to try to integrate with your examples. So I'm going to think of some examples and use those to help try to figure out a why, and vice versa. It's a very dynamic process. You don't come up with the examples first and then the argument, or the argument and the examples. You kind of have to think of them at the same time. So let's see. Let me sketch out some possible examples over here. Well, like I said, Facebook. Again, we'd like to be more specific than just Facebook. A good example maybe from Facebook would be job. Job applications or interviews. Basically, I'll get into that in a second. So I'm going to write that down for a minute. I'm pretty sure I'm going to use that example. What other things we want to use for? So remember, when you're coming up with examples, you want to think, instead of saying, okay, what examples can I use for the prompt? You want to think, okay, what examples from literature might I use here? What examples from history might I use here? What examples from current events can I use here? What examples from personal experience can I use here? That's kind of the process of trying to narrow down on some examples. So I think this is a current events one, and it's a pretty good one. We'll get into it in a second. Let me think. So let's see. Literature. Again, I've been out of school so long, and I don't read fancy literature much anymore. Unfortunately, I want to, but it's just not something I do all the time. Let me just think of books in general. Privacy, keeping things private. Nothing that I'm too familiar with. Let's look at history. History and privacy. Well, what was it? Roe v. Wade was right to privacy? What was it? Nah, but that might be a counter argument against. I think with the privacy thing, maybe for history you could use something like governmental intrusion. So government intrusion, and again, this is too general. We want to drill down into this. So maybe anti-communism might be okay. Basically where the rights to privacy are completely stamped out or infringed upon. Privacy as a right might be actually a good way to... Yeah, I think this is... See, now, as I'm coming with the examples, I'm thinking of it, I think from this, I can come up with my reason why. And what I'm getting from this is, my argument is going to be things should be kept private because privacy is one of the core rights we have as people, right? The right to not be bothered for no reason, right? So I think I'm going to frame this as I'm kind of right. So we have to keep our privacy because it's our responsibility to protect our right to privacy and not allow unwarranted intrusion from either corporations and employees or from government. So there's right there, you can see I've kind of sketched out the framework of this. Yes, we should keep things private, and it's going to be because privacy is a right that must be preserved. Now I'm going to write neater when I actually write through this, but I'm just sketching it out right now, so I'm doing a little chicken scratch, but that's okay. So my argument is, yes, people should keep things private because they have the responsibility to protect the right of privacy. It's a right that should be preserved. It's a right that people died for. It's a right that's enshrined, say, in the Constitution. And my examples will be, number one, Facebook and employers. And I can use the thing from New Jersey. They're trying to legislate against this. To be more specific, and I need something with governmental intrusion. I'm probably going to use like post 9/11. Patriot Act stuff. So basically preserving your right against unwarranted search and seizure, essentially, right? That's what privacy is essentially about. So, and I forget which amendment that is. So let's see, is it 5? No, 5 is double jeopardy. 4? Regardless of what it is, doesn't matter. We can just say it's one of the amendments to the Bill of Rights. So anyway, here is my argument. Yes, things should be kept private because we have a responsibility to preserve the right of privacy, which is one of the fundamental natural rights of a person is not to have their sphere infringed upon without due cause, right? And my examples will be, and if we don't preserve this right, you get people stepping in. So the examples would be Facebook and employers. I'll get into that when I go into the example. And in government terms, post 9/11, using terrorism as a pretext to infringe upon our civil liberties in terms of Patriot Act, and other things. So that's the basic sketch. Let's just go ahead and get started writing. So how will I start? So there's this phrase that I'm remembering with privacy where something to the effect of people who are for these kind of privacy intrusions will say, well, if you have nothing to hide, you should have nothing to be afraid of, right? So, if the government comes in and snoops on you, if you're not a wrongdoer, you shouldn't have anything to fear from it, right? That's kind of one of the arguments. And that, I'm going to argue against that, to say, oh, that is kind of against the very nature of privacy and that right we have. So let's start with that. Let's see. It has been said by some who would endorse the snooping eyes of Big Brother. So notice how I'm kind of dressing up my languages a bit. The snooping eyes of Big Brother. Big Brother is an allusion to 1984 from George Orwell as this kind of ultimate authority. And actually, that's another thing about it. 1984 would have been a good literary example. I haven't read it. I've read it once. I haven't read it in so long, though. I wouldn't feel comfortable enough writing about it. But I'll reference it here. I think it's a good allusion. So it has been said by some who endorse the snooping eyes of Big Brother that let's see. Maybe I would erase that. Assuming I was Big Brother. I'll go with that. The innocent have nothing to fear from such an intrusion into the private sphere. Okay, so notice I start out with a long sentence, and I'm kind of saying it's been said by some who would endorse the snooping eyes of Big Brother that the innocent have nothing to fear from such an intrusion into the private sphere. If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to hide. Yes? So notice I'm offering kind of a rhetorical question here. Again, when you want to vary your sentence structure, you want to not just make it blah, 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 blah. Notice I didn't start here with privacy is an important right. I mean, it would have been a terrible introduction, but I think this is a bit more interesting. And again, we don't care about hooks, but again, in terms of setting a good first impression, this is better than the boring kind of generic statements. I've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to hide. Yes. This view that privacy is mere luxury and even outdated in our modern technologically connected culture is an abdication, so $10 word, abdication of a basic human right to be left alone. So notice how I have come out with an argument, this view that privacy is mere luxury and even outdated in our modern technologically connected culture is an abdication of a basic human right, to be left alone. So there again is another changing of the sentence structure, modifying it. Let's see. So now I want to finish up this paragraph because I don't want to make this too long. I want to get into my examples. It is not only a right, but also a responsibility responsibility to preserve and protect our privacy. I might actually add a. It's not only a. Nah, I won't do that. I was gonna add natural there, but I'm not gonna do that. It is not only a right, but also a responsibility to preserve and protect our privacy from intrusion from the intrusion of the elite. Namely, big business and big government. So notice how already, I'm going to use the examples of employers, example of employers snooping in on our Facebooks and big government snooping in on our private records and things like that. And I'm connecting it already into the argument, which is that it's not only a right, but a responsibility to preserve and protect our privacy. Now, one thing you want to do is after you've written the introduction, go back to the question and make sure you've answered it. Make sure you haven't gone off somewhere. And I think we're pretty good here, but I'm just going to go back and check anyway, just to make sure. So let's see. Should people make more of an effort to keep some things private? Yeah. So I'm going to say, I think it's pretty clear here that I'm saying yes, something we should protect our privacy and preserve it, something we should not let go of. All right, so let's go into the first example. Those who broadcast every aspect of their lives, no matter how minor, leave themselves open to attention. Well, it's an expression like spilled milk. Can put it back together. What's that expression? That would work good here. Where does that go? Darn, I can't remember. It's like an expression like something like something such and such spilled out. It can't be put back in again. Darn, I wish I knew what it was. Oh well, it's no big deal. Those who broadcast every aspect of their lives, no matter how minor, leave themselves open to attention. Job seekers. Actually, you know what? Job seekers, desperate to get it. Guess we're to become employed after the Great Recession of 2008. Notice I'm adding detail here, not just talking generally. Job seekers, as become employed of the Great Recession, have willingly given up have not merely put up with prospective employers' Facebook stalking. Indeed, they have even given these employers their account passwords when asked. Such an intrusion into daily into personal, into a personal life is borderline illegal. And some states, like New Jersey, are trying to end this practice. Such an intrusion into personal life is borderline illegal, and some states like New Jersey are trying to end this practice. However, the dire conditions of the lives of the unemployed have driven them to give strangers access to the inner sphere of their private lives. However, the dire conditions of the lives of the unemployed have driven them to give strangers access to the inner sphere of their private lives. To allow this unchecked, I don't want to use intrusion again, I've used that too many times, I think. To allow this unchecked invasion, good enough. Don't worry too much about getting the exact right word. You don't have enough time for it. So they're just going to go with invasion. Maybe it's a little too close to intrusion, but who cares? To allow this unchecked invasion is yet one more step in the erosion of our liberty. A liberty. So notice varying sentence structure. Here we're using a resumptive modifier, as I explained earlier. A liberty that has been bought with the blood of patriots and must be preserved. So let's see what we got. So one thing you might do is, as you're reading, to go back and reread it again, just to make sure that everything is flowing right so far. So let's go back, skim through this paragraph. Those who broadcast every aspect of their lives, no matter how minor, they leave themselves open to attention. Job seekers desperate to become employed after the Great Recession of 2008 have not merely put up with prospective employers' Facebook stalking. Indeed, they have given these employees their account passwords when asked. Such an intrusion into a personal life is borderline illegal. In some states like New Jersey are trying to end this practice. However, the dire conditions of the lives of the unemployed have driven them to give strangers access to the inner sphere of their private lives. To allow this unchecked invasion is yet one more step in the erosion of our liberty, a liberty that has been bought with the blood of patriots and must be preserved. Okay, so again, go back to the question. Always refer back to the question again and again, just to make sure you're not drifting too far, because remember, going too far off topic will give you 0. Should people make more of an effort to keep some things private? So yes, I am saying here, yes, we should keep things private. We should keep these basic, access to our personal lives. I mean, one of the most private things we should have. We should definitely keep that away from those, no matter how dire things may be. Should be illegal. So anyway, let's move on to the next. Now, again, I want to leave with the transition sentence here to connect. Let's see. This trend is not limited to the economic sphere, colon, big government has also joined the infringement game under with this after 9/11 under the pretext. So pretext or pretense? Shoot. It really doesn't matter too much. I'm not going to lose points for this, but I'll just take a couple seconds to see under the pretext. Why are you pretense here? And I'll do pretense. I'll look it up later, see which one it is. All right, under the pretense of protecting the nation from terrorism, they led three branches of government have conspired to chip away at basic civil liberties. Especially our basic right to privacy. I think I'm going to go here. I want to list out a number of examples of this, again, getting more specific, and I think I'm going to use a longer sentence here with some kind of parallel structure to flesh it out. From the warrantless wiretapping of U.S. citizens under Bush and Obama to the wholesale monitoring of web traffic by ISPs, anyone who is connected to our modern infrastructure is not truly alone. No, it's not truly not alone. How about this? Is never truly in privacy. Not great, but I'll leave it for now. Let's see. Bush involvement to the wholesale. Worse yet, just like with now here I want to try to connect it back to the first example. Just like with the we're doing on time so far. Okay, yeah, we're definitely over time, but obviously that was going to happen because I'm talking and stopping to a lot. Worse yet, just like with the that's not a good word. Just like with the intrusion of employers into private life, citizens are barely raising an objection into the to the monitoring of daily life by government bureaucrats. Let's see. Where are we right now? From the warrantless part-time citizen of Bush and Obama to the wholesale monitoring of web traffic by ISPs, anyone who is connected to our modern infrastructure is never truly in privacy. Worse yet, just like with the intruder employers, citizens are barely raising an objection to the monitoring of daily life by government bureaucrats. In both cases, it is up to every man and woman, being a little cutesy here, but that's okay, to guard that precious space. For to lose the privacy of one's home, entertainment, and yes, even Facebook profile is a loss in the greater war of tyranny against liberty. Now I'm going to go to my conclusion. So I'm pretty confident on how these work so far. 2 examples, some good detail, some good evidence, and now I want to wrap up with kind of my final call to arms conclusion here. Let's see. To answer the initial objection. So here I'm going to actually return back to my introduction to answer that question. I start off with that question, or the kind of suggestion. It has been said by some who would endorse the Stooping Guy's Big Brother, they just have nothing to fear from such an intrusion to their private lives. If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to hide, yes? Yes. We all have something to hide. Even if we are perfect angels. We have our basic dignity and natural rights to hide from those who would trample on them, all in the name of profit and security. Okay. That's good for now. So how long did that take? About 33 minutes now. I know I talked a lot in the beginning, and with a lot of talking, I probably would have finished maybe about 20 minutes or so. But let's go and just give it a read through, see what it looks like. I think overall it's a good essay, especially doing it in front of a video camera and trying to explain everything as I wrote. Let's go through and see what it does and how successful. Maybe some things I could have improved. It has been said by some who would endorse the Stooping Guys of Big Brother that the innocent have nothing to fear from such an intrusion into the private sphere. So let's, again, go to the question was, should people make more effort to keep some things private? If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to hide, yes? This view that privacy is mere luxury and even outdated in our modern technologically connected culture is an abdication of a basic human right to be left alone. It is not only a right but a responsibility to preserve and protect our privacy from the intrusion of the elite, namely big business and big government. So, what do I do? So notice I start off not with general stuff, but by being specific, bringing up this idea of if nothing's wrong, you have nothing to hide. And I lead then into the argument, which is that we have to keep things private because it's protecting a basic right. We can't allow intrusion into that. And then I reference, at least allude to in some way, the two examples I'm going to use. So big business and big government. So now example number 1, notice transition sentence. Those who broadcast every aspect of their lives, no matter how minor, leave themselves open to attention. On second thought, not the greatest transition sentence, but not terrible. Yeah, that rereading again is not the best line, but it's okay for now. Job seekers, desperate to become employed after the Great Recession of 2008, have not merely put up with prospective employers' Facebook stalking. Indeed, they have given these employers their account passwords when asked. Such an intrusion into a personal life is borderline illegal, and some states like New Jersey are trying to end this practice. However, the dire conditions of the lives of the unemployed have driven them to give strangers access to the inner sphere of their private lives. To allow this unchecked invasion is yet one more step in the erosion of our liberty, a liberty that has been bought with the blood of patriots and must be preserved. Okay, so pretty good. I mean, it's just giving a good reason as to why this is not a good thing. I probably could have given more reasons, but overall not bad. This trend is not limited to the economic sphere. Big government has also joined the infringement game. After 9/11, under the pretense of protecting the nation from terrorism, the three branches of government have conspired to chip away at basic civil liberties, especially our basic right to privacy. From the warrantless wiretapping of U.S. citizens under Bush and Obama to the wholesale monitoring of web traffic by ISPs, anyone who's connected to our modern infrastructure is never truly in privacy. Worse yet, just like with the intrusion of employers into private life, notice there I connect back to the first example, so that's how you get cohesion. Citizens are barely raising an objection to the monitoring of daily life by government, bureaucrats. In both cases, it is up to every man and woman to guard that precious space, for to lose the privacy of one's home, entertainment, and yes, even Facebook profile is a loss in the greater war of tyranny against liberty. To answer the initial objection, yes, we all have something to hide, even if we are perfect angels. We have our basic dignity and natural rights to hide from those who would trample on them, all in the name of profit and security. All right, overall, good. I think one of the things that kind of affected me here writing, I think I wrote bigger than I would normally write on the actual SAT, just because with this pen, so I probably would write more, given that I would be able to fit more into this. That's probably the one thing I would do here. I would like to fill out a bit some more details. As written, I think it's a 6, just because it fits everything I said. I don't want to brag too much. I think it's pretty well written, given it's off the cuff. Some good use of words. So I think this is a 6. Maybe you get someone cranky who gives it a 5, so you would get maybe an 11 out of 12. But regardless, it's a good essay. It follows everything that would get a 6 and does a lot of good things. So I hope that helped. I'm not sure. Let me know if that helped, that whole process. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it did. I think it probably did. So that is it for the SAT Essay Bootcamp. Again, just like with the Critical Reading Bootcamp, I will add anything that maybe I didn't cover well enough. You can just let me know. I can make new videos. I can always update this bootcamp. So maybe if you want to see more practice essays, then I'll do some more practice essays. If I didn't go into enough detail on a topic, or if I missed something out, or if you have questions, just let me know either in the comments or contact me through email or through YouTube or however you want to contact me. All right, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. To learn more about Reason Prep's SAT, SAT subject test, and ACT video courses, go to reasonprep.com/enroll, and you can find the link in the description below the video.